Hey folks, Leadsmith here, coming to you from Dadskills University. I got something that's really awesome that's about to happen, and I'm gonna give you a hint. It starts with a cub and it ends with cadet. All right, here comes the delivery, man. With it right there on the pallet. So guys, I promise I tried to find a little quick start guide, but to no avail. I could have just been too impatient, but I figured if I at least checked the oil, made sure there was some in it, made sure the battery cables were tight, and obviously the thing is going to need a little bit of fuel to run. I figured I couldn't go wrong making sure these things were done before I even stuck the key in it. And of course they give you a key, and if you look at the top there, that tells you the danger of running somebody over if you don't make sure your wife and kids are safely in the house, folks. All right, folks, it is time to get down to brass tacks and why I went with Cub Cadet with this 42-inch deck Kawasaki motor, and I believe this is called the Ultima ZT1. The truth is, I don't have a whole lot of exciting information as to why, except for the fact that I'm already a Cub Cadet owner. This little cubby right here I received from my grandpa about 15 years ago. Altogether, it's about 20 years old. I rode it until the seat pretty much came apart. And as you can see, just looking at the belt, some things have happened this season here, and it's really time to kind of move on to something else. I also have some future plans that I would love to discuss in another video with this particular mower, so I want you to kind of stay tuned and subscribe to make sure you get the notification when these videos come out. But one other reason that I went with Cub Cadet here is I absolutely love the skeletal structure. I really appreciate how I can get to pretty much anything on this lawnmower. So, for example, fuel filter is right there. Nothing has to be opened up or moved out of the way. The motor is very easy to access. There's no question there if a spark plug needs to come out. I mean, it's all right here. This is a do-it-yourselfer's paradise. It's like, wow, finally, somebody thought about the do-it-yourselfer, the little guy, in this whole world of machines and lawnmowers and vehicles and cars, oh my, that we live in. Now, not everyone is a do-it-yourselfer. Some people are going to be more inclined to take things straight to the dealer or whoever their favorite repair person is, and that's okay too. I'm going to also say it's really hard for me to not feel kind of a sense of nostalgia with this design. I mean, for crying out loud, this kind of resembles some of the concepts that I had when I was a kid of what a go-kart should look like. So Cub Cadet's kind of bringing me back to my youth here, and this Kawasaki motor. Let's talk about that for a minute. I'm no expert in the world of lawnmowers and small engines. I know a few things, but where I really know Kawasaki is from my earlier years when I rode Japanese motorcycles. Oh, I absolutely love the designs. I love the price points. I love the smoothness and the engineering. Say what you want. I don't know, guys. Japan, they have really been able to deliver top-notch automotive engineering at a really great price point. So Kawasaki V-Twins, yeah, that definitely is going to get the nod from me. I've got nothing against Briggs & Stratton. It sounds like that's one of the motors used in a competitor, the Toro. There's a lot of claims that the Briggs isn't quite as powerful as the Kawasaki. You know, I don't think of V-Twins when I think of Briggs & Stratton, but I certainly do with Kawasaki. So after rewatching the introduction to this video, I saw there was this massive plume of white smoke that came out. I'm like, good grief, are we out here to kill mosquitoes today? Well, I was concerned there was a problem. I don't think there is. Most likely there was a bunch of moisture or something that had built up, and upon startup, it just burnt it off real quick. I haven't had it do it since. No white smoke. It started up just fine. I do notice that a lot of times if you give it full choke, it's a little harder to start. That could have also had been an issue. So let's also talk a little bit about deck size for just a moment. Okay, that's going to be a personal choice. It depends on the amount of land and how quick you want to get it done. And what I have found is, even with my old Cubby right there, 42 inches is plenty for my area. I probably have, altogether, I've got land that's kind of parted out. It's all connected, but it's not like a one large field. And to involve other people's grass that I cut in this area, you know, I definitely have probably 2 acres, close to 2 acres, maybe 1.5 altogether. I could certainly cut my time down if I had gotten the 50-inch deck, 60-inch deck, or maybe even went with some of the other makers who have larger decks than 42. Now, something interesting that I found is we think a lot about deck size, but I also think a lot about motor performance. What if I told you that this 42-inch Cub Cadet with a 21.5 horsepower Kawasaki has more power per inch than a 50-inch Cub Cadet with a 24 horsepower motor? Okay, folks, it's time to pound some numbers now. Let's say that I take the 24 horsepower that's available in the 60-inch version, and let's divide that 24 horsepower across that 60-inch deck. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're spreading the 24 horses across the 60 inches of deck. And we're going to see now how much horsepower per inch of deck, not including, obviously it still has to pull the weight of the machine, but let's see how much we're actually getting. Okay, look at that. 24 horsepower divided by a 60-inch deck, and for every inch of deck we're looking at 4/10, way less than half of a horse. Well, that's probably not a huge problem. Now let's look at their other option. Let's look at their 23 horsepower machine that comes with their 50-inch. So we'll just divide that 23 horsepower across the 50 inches of deck, and let's see. Now we're at 0.46. So as the deck size is getting smaller, it sure does seem like it's actually receiving a little bit more per inch from the motor that it comes with. So for all practical purposes, the 23 horse 50-inch Cub Cadet is actually getting more power per inch. So let's now come down to this machine. We have a 21.5 horsepower Kawasaki engine, and we're going to spread that 21.5 horses over this 42-inch deck. Let's see what we get here. 0.511. Basically, we're getting half a horse, maybe a smidge more per inch of deck. Obviously, we've got to consider too that we still have to factor in the weight of the machine and all that, but pound per pound, I think this is a pretty good representation. Then it actually stands to reason that when it comes time to plow through that heavy grass, while the 60-inch, while the 50-inch has that broader deck and is probably going to cut a larger path through, this 42-inch deck is actually probably going to slice right through with greater efficiency. Granted, a more narrow path, but potentially with higher speed and less bogging down of the motor. Take it for what you want. That's just a little math I wanted to crunch together. Now, if you look right here, we have a little tool that Cub Cadet supplies. Basically just a wrench that's going to allow us to access or make certain adjustments. One thing I like so far that I've seen is if we take this bolt out, this extremely long, annoying bolt that I've seen a lot of people replace with I believe they've kind of gone with the wing nut style, but I gotta say, I really like this access. This is truly gonna make it a whole lot easier to clean out the deck. You can see I've built up a few leaves and a little dirt already in some of the test mowing that I've done. So folks, here's another feature that I like. These are adjustable arms. Okay, so one thing I notice is with this seat, comfortably adjusted for my legs, what I do know is I feel like I have to lean pretty far forward to get the maximum push out of these handles. So what I should be able to do is just simply take this loose and make some adjustments that'll kind of help that out. Let's see how it works. So let's see now how that did. Okay, I've got just enough elbow room. My arm is not locked straight and I'm not pulling forward. So I must have really long legs and really short arms. But before the adjustment, as you can see, this is where it came to. So I don't know if this next feature is standard to Cub Cadet or if it's pretty common for all zero turns. I'm not really sure, but I think it has a lot to do with being Cub Cadet. This is not a brake as I initially first thought it was going to be. This is actually a lever to allow you to raise and lower the deck. So this is its max height with my foot pushed all the way down. Foot off with the deck setting at 1 inch. That is the maximum lowest it will go. So when I desire to raise and lower the deck, instead of having a lever, I've got a knob. So 4.5 inches is the max. When I push that deck raise lever down and bring it up, I can now adjust this to whichever setting I like. The handy thing about it is not just for setting the deck level, but let's say I'm running along with this mower and I see a little stump that I'm about to hit. Well, the thing I loved about my little garden tractor, my little old school lawnmower, is I only had to have one hand on the steering wheel. I could easily pull up that deck lever, bring it up, clear the obstacle and go. Not the same with these zero turns. you're using two hands all the time. So this allows me to just push that lever in with my foot without ever taking my hands off of the controls. Now I've cleared the deck and I've saved my blades and deck from damage. Okay, so for you lawnmower aficionados, we're gonna play a game real quick. We're gonna spot what isn't there. So we have the choke, we have the throttle, we have the gas, and we have the PTO engage. So what is missing? That should be over here. If you guessed that we were missing an hour meter, you are 100% correct. I don't know why Cub Cadet left this off, but they said if you want one, you can go buy one and install it yourself. Now, I know that's gonna have a lot of people upset, and for the life of me, I can't understand why they would do that, but this is gonna be a separate video. We're gonna install this hour meter. I've only got about half an hour on this machine, so yeah, it makes me concerned about buying used Cub Cadets because they could have put 200 hours on it before they ever installed an hour meter. I mean, come on. It turns it into a poo-poo show, like a used car lot, and people tampering with odometers back in the 90s. Come on, guys, cut somewhere else. I gotta say though, I really do appreciate the headlights. I do some mowing at nighttime now. I also appreciate the cup holder. I'm not saying that I'm actually riding this mower just one-handed free all the time so that I can drink from a drink, but it has a cup holder. That's not a bad thing to have. So I guess I can't gripe too much about where they cut, but honestly, I would have paid the additional few bucks for an hour meter already installed. Come on, Cub Cadet. So as much mowing as I actually do, a commercial grade mower makes sense. This is, however, kind of advertised as a residential mower. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure what makes a mower commercial grade. Is it because the deck is not fabricated and welded? Is it because it doesn't have a thicker frame? I'm not really sure, guys. But if I had to define what a commercial mower is, I would say that it's a mower that I use commercially. And a residential mower would be a motor that I use at home residentially. In the meantime, I've got grass to mow. Red Smith out.